Good, Baruch Hashem. How are you? Are you still in America? Are
Rabbi.
you still
No,
are you back in America?
I'm in London.
Ah,
No, I'm
you're
in
back in
London.
London.
I wish. Yeah, yeah. How come you're in a car? Where are you going?
I'm going to
Where
my
are you
mom's house.
going?
I'm going to my mom's house for dinner.
Oh, okay. Okay, so there isn't a Mishlei class, no?
There is a
Next.
class. I'm giving it. I'm going to do the best I can under the circumstances.
What you mean
So
you're
I
giving
want to.
it from the car?
Yeah, I'm going to do it from the car.
Ah,
Why should I not do it from the car? I'll try to do
I
it
don't know. It's
and
funny.
wherever you are, in the car, in the plane, in your home, you're traveling, not traveling. It's the beauty of technology. We can keep teaching no matter where we are. We don't stop for anything. Okay, so we're
You
in
get good
the
Wi-Fi.
Mishlei. Okay, so welcome back, everyone. We are in Mishlei. We are in the ninth chapter, the ninth parak. This parak is an extension of what we've been doing up until now. Shlomo HaMelech has been telling us about, the idea that we have a Yetzer Hara, we have an evil inclination, and how easy it is to get seduced by its wants, its needs. We spoke about the idea that that wisdom is the focal point of everything that we do, and that ultimately wisdom is what Shlomo Melech is trying to impart to us, not just anecdotes, but real musar to inspire us to become the best versions of ourselves. The whole book of Mishlei, in a nutshell, is Shlomo Melech telling us about his experiences, the things that he went through, the do's, the don'ts, the things that he has witnessed himself, first-hand wisdom, knowledge, first-hand experience of the world around us, and how we could make sure that we don't fall into the same mistakes of the people around us and people that he has seen himself. So the Mishnah, we're in the fifth pasuk of this, what's it called? Maybe we'll just go through the beginning over here. We say Chachmot binta beita. That's how the parak begins. That wisdom has built her house. Chatzvat mudeha shiv'a. She builds her pillars on with seven pillars, which means that wisdom is something that is profound. Wisdom is something that is deep. Seven represents transition. That wisdom is not something that's just about information. Often today, young people believe they're so smart because they have access to the internet, when in reality, all they have is information. Information does nothing for you. Information is just zeros and ones. Information is just the ability of knowing code, but it does not give us the ability to understand how to apply the information. And that's what wisdom is. Wisdom is the application of knowledge. Wisdom is the application of information. So he says over here that wisdom, it has to be built on seven pillars. Why? Because the number seven, Shiva, is transition. Just like we have 7 days of the week, six is Yom Chol, seven is Shabbat, the seven represents transitioning. Chokhmah binta beita. When you're building your house of wisdom, remember that you have real wisdom when it's able to transition out of just information into something that you're able to apply into yourselves. Rashi says over here that the 7 days of creation is what it's referring to over here, that there are seven books of the Torah, right? And that ultimately you could divide the Torah in different ways. For example, last week's Bahalotcha, we have Yehi B'Tzaharon. Those double nuns over there, those two psukim are considered to be its own Torah. So we have, there's different ways of dividing it. Seven books, the seven books of the Torah, or the 7 days of creation. The idea of Chokhmah being something that leads us to a sense of completion, that it gives us a wholeness, that wisdom is not something that leaves you with an emptiness at the end, that wisdom is something that creates a sense of completion and wholesomeness. Tavcha tivcha mascha yeina. She has prepared her meat. Af archa shulchana. She has mingled her wine. She has even set her table. This is the extension of wisdom. Wisdom is able to go ahead and prepare meat, mingles it with wine. She mixes it with water, the wine, like strong wine that's it's unable to drink. Wisdom understands. They say the difference between wisdom and information is that wisdom is information or knowledge is knowing that tomatoes are a fruit, and wisdom is knowing that you could add that tomato to your salad. So it's the information. She sent her maidens highs of the city. Mi peti sar heina chasar lev amra. Whoever is simple, let him turn here. To the one devoid of sense, lachu lachmu b'chelmi v'shutu b'yenu masachti. Come partake of my bread and drink of my wine that I have mingled. Now, wine is again this extension of Shiv'ah. Wine represents transition. Shivim is 70, right? So the word yain in Hebrew, in Gematria, equals the number 70. What does that mean? Every single Hebrew letter has a numerical value to it. And our Chachamim tell us that whenever you have an extreme example of any particular number, that extreme always expresses itself in the tens column. So 7 to the most extreme is 70. Okay, so now, hey Sian, you're also driving, it's not just me. You have 70 is the most extreme expression of 7. So just like 7 represents transition, Shiv'im represents the ultimate transition. We say Nichnas yain yotze sod. When the wine comes in, the secrets come out. So what's the sod that we're speaking about over here? What is this sod? So, people mistakenly believe that sod is like, the CIA carrying a secret that, there are UFOs, and that no one wants to talk about it. That's the sod. Sod represents this terrifying secret, but that's not what sod means. Sod means something that is true in your core, and it can't be expressed into words. That's what sod is. Sod is something beyond. Sod is much bigger than hiding something, a secret or so on and so forth. That's much more than that. Sod is the deepest parts of your essence and your being, and you're aware of a truth, and you can't put it into words. It's kind of like when you're in love. You can't put your emotions into you can't put your emotions into words. So yayin represents sod at its greatest expression, and it's expressing this idea of the transitioning us from one state to another state. We use yain in several different ways as Jews as for our ceremonies, but I want you to think of it in terms of wisdom, like Shlomo Melech is over here. Shlomo Melech is saying like this: you want to understand wisdom, you have to transition. So where do we see transition again? We see it on Friday night. What is Friday night? Friday night is the beginning of Shabbat. It's kind of confusing. So really, Friday night for a Jew is Saturday. Friday night, when you hold that Kiddush cup and you're holding the cup with yain in it, you are making a bracha borei pri hagefen. On Shabbat, you're saying all the brachot for Shabbat as well. And as you're doing that, you're having kavanah. You're meditating on this idea that just like wine transitions me from one state to another state, this moment in time is a time where I'm supposed to transition from the work week into the Shabbat. On a holiday, a Chag, the same thing. You're using the wine to transition yourself from the state of the week of Chol into Kodesh, into something that is holy. How does that apply to wisdom? Same idea. How are we transitioning ourselves from that place of where we are right now, carrying information and bringing the Chokhmah into our lives? Okay, what is Chokhmah? We said it before. Chokhmah, as the Maharal teaches us, comes from two words. Koach ma, the power of what? Or Koach ma, the power of why. The power of asking questions. The power of asking, why do things work the way they are? That is Chokhmah. You want to understand how to find Chokhmah? You have to be able to ask good and great questions. So he continues. Sorry about that. That's my mother wondering why I'm running late already. Okay, fine. I'm going to try to do a couple more Pesukim over here, and let's see where we go. Let me just do this over here. Okay, great. So he continues over here, Shlomo Melech, and he says, "Lechu lachmu b'lachmi ushtu yain masachti." Come, partake of my bread and drink of wine that I have mingled. We said that. Azvu pita'im v'hayu v'ashru b'derech bina. Leave you simpletons and live, and step in the way of understanding. What is izvu pita'im? What is he talking about over there? He's saying the way of simplicity, right? Leave the way of simplicity. Stop relying on your natural talents. Stop living a life of simplicity, and instead move yourself. Ishru b'derech bina. Step into the way of bina. What is bina? Right? This is something that most women should have. It's a deep understanding of things. We have Chabad, Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at, right? A deep level of understanding, right? And what he's saying, Ishru b'derech Bina, you step into the way of Bina. Fine, you know what? You're having a hard time of getting to Chokhmah. At least open yourself up to the possibility of understanding something, right? That Bina is understanding one thing from another thing. That you're able to make see how the contrast teaches me something about the world that I live in. The word he says, to use he words, he says, Vishru b'derech Bina, right? Step in the way of understanding. Masachti is this expression of stepping, as in Eov, Ashro, which means his foot was held fast, right? It's moving forward, moving beyond. And he continues, Yosar letz lokach lo kol on u'mochiach l'rasha mumo. He who gives musar, takes, who lets, one who is a letz, one who is a, I'm not even sure how to translate the word letz, but one who is a scoffer, right? Someone who mocks. Lokach lo kol on, he takes disgrace for himself. U'mochiach l'rasha mum'o, and he who gives musar, mochiach l'rasha, gives musar to the rasha, one who gives musar to a wicked man, that is his blemish. It is the blemish to the one who gives the musar. Why? Because when you berate him, right, and he doesn't listen to him, then you're not allowed to talk to the guy. You cannot give musar to someone if they're not going to listen to the musar. That's what he's saying over here. You think, oh, I'm going to tell that guy he's not doing the right thing. He's got to make a bracha. He's got to go out with the right kind of girl. But if the person can't hear the musar, it might be better not to say it. Why would you say something and share something with someone if they're not in the right frame of mind, they're not in the right place where they could actually absorb the message? Al tochach letz pen yisanecha. Do not give musar to a letz. If you do, pen yisanecha, he's going to hate you. First, you want to give musar, give it to a wise man, and he will love you. What does that mean? So you have someone who's a letz. He's, whatever, he's distracted, he's doing his things. He's got too many other things going around. You're not going to give him musar. How do you get someone who is lost to hear your musar? The way you do it is by turning them into a chacham. You first have to give them wisdom. And once you give them wisdom, then you can go back and give them the musar. You could give them the reproof. You could go ahead and give them however you want to chastise them. You could do that afterwards. But if they can't hear it, if you're going to have a conversation with someone who cannot hear what you're going to say, you are wasting your time, he says. First, get that person to become wise. What does that mean? So you have someone who you're trying to convince to marry a good Jewish girl, right? And, he's not in a place right now. He's not ready to listen. I can't go there and have a conversation about why he should marry Jewish. First, I would have to have several meetings with that person where I could talk to him and explain the value of marrying Jewish, or why it's important for him, why this is something he should be doing or should not be doing. And once he's able to hear the chokhmah, once he could actually hear the wisdom, then later I could go ahead and give him the musar. But you cannot start with the musar. This is a mistake. This is why it's so difficult. I get calls from people all the time. Can you please help me? I have an issue with a kid who needs, is doing something he shouldn't be doing. I can't help until I get that person on the same page with me. By the way, this is a deep lesson for parents. you have children, grandchildren, you want to go ahead and give them musar, don't do it. It's going to come back and they're going to hate you. Instead, what I'd rather you do is build the relationship up for a few weeks first. Take them out for a dinner, wine and dine them, build a relationship, talk to them about your values, the things that are important to you, share the things, your own personal story about your parents and the things that they valued. And then after all of that, you could go ahead and share a little bit about, the musar of the things that you think that they're doing that is a mistake. But don't start with that. Don't start from that place. You have a
What is
question?
musar? Sorry.
What is the word
Musar?
musar? The word
Yeah.
the word musar means to give someone tochacha, to give someone rebuke. If you want to rebuke someone,
A rebuke.
yeah,
Okay.
you want to rebuke someone, then you want to go ahead and do it first. Don't rebuke them at all. If you rebuke them, they're gonna hold a grudge against you. They don't understand it. What's the point of, unless the person is able to understand it? They are actually coming from a place where they can internalize your message. That's something else. But if you know going in that they're not going to hear it, you're wasting your time. Don't start with that even. They're going to not take you seriously. You're going to lose your clout for later conversations. Instead, first build them up so they can understand your point, and then later give them the rebuke that you need. But don't start with it. Any other questions? Okay.
The
Yeah,
giving them chokhmah could take a long, long time.
I know. Well, listen, you know what? You have to ask yourself. Sometimes there's a distinction that the Chachamim make when it comes to our chinuch, and there's two different approaches. One is called binyan, like a builder, and the other is called zri'ah, which is planting and building. So a boneh, someone who's a builder, you want to build a wall. What do? You get some bricks, you get a bricklayer, you get some cement, and boom, you got a wall, right? But if you want to go ahead and plant a garden, it doesn't work like that. To plant a garden, you got to find the right kinds of seeds. You got to make sure that the plants that you're planting are going to get the right amount of light, the right amount of water. You got to soften the earth. There's a whole process that takes place, right? So parents have two ways of dealing with their kids. One is like the builder. You see a kid doing something wrong, you just like, boom, whack him across the head. They'll never do that again. But it comes at a cost, right? The real approach we're meant to use is called planting, a zri'ah. We want to plant the ideas in our kids. It takes time. And at some point, listen, a kid's going to make their own choice, no matter what a parent does. We give our kid everything, all the right chinuch. We can give them the best education. We give them the best everything. They're going to have to make their own choice. So, but I truly believe the way in which you win these battles is by seeing yourself as a planter and not a builder. There are times where you go in hard. I'm going to disown you. I'm going to take everything away from you. I'm going to whatever it is. Ter kriya. There are times for that, but I think those are always extreme, and those are last resorts. But there's the stage before we get to the very end of building. I would tell you to start planting and be relentless in how you plant. Plant like crazy. Plant everywhere. Plant the ideas. Don't stop. Don't give up. Come in hard with your planting. Planting is soft. Planting is strategy. Planting is sitting there and figuring out the best way to do it. They say the reason why Chinese people are better at mathematics is because to grow a rice paddy requires much more mathematical, strategy than it is growing wheat. In America, we were wheat farmers, and growing wheat is very easy. You take some wheat, you throw it up in the air, it lands in the earth, and boom, you got bread. But if you want to, grow a rice paddy, you got to find the right mountain, the right slope, the right sun, the right water. You got to make sure it's perfect. So we are planters. You want to understand wisdom, Jewish wisdom? It comes from the fact that our chokhmah is not in binyan, not in building and in being the builder, but instead in being the actual zri'ah, the planting itself. Okay, one more pasuk, and then we'll call it a night. And God willing, we're going to pick it up. I want to do these more often. I'm going to do these, God willing, I think 3 times a week or 4 times a week. I want to finish the book of Mishlei over the summer. I want to make a siyum on it, and it's been very slow, and I want to go through it more quickly. Because we keep missing from week to week. It's hard to remember what we spoke about, but maybe if I do like a quick like do like a parak or two a week, we'll be able to kind of like delve into it deeper. We'll feel like more closely connected to it. Okay, so this is a very important pasuk, and we'll end with this one. He says, "Tchilat chokhmah yirat Hashem, v'dat kedoshim bina." Tchilat chokhmah yirat Hashem. The beginning of wisdom is what? Is fear of God. Yirat Hashem. V'dat kedoshim bina. And the knowledge of the holy ones is understanding. Right? It is Kedusha is the root of all understanding. Now, it's very difficult to have a conversation with anyone about Judaism, especially if someone's struggling with their Judaism, if they don't believe in God. You're not going to have, they don't believe in God, talking to them about the beauty of kashrut, of kosher, and Shabbat, and marrying Jewish is going to be a very difficult conversation to have. You're not going to go very far. So then the first conversation you want to have is trying to get them to believe in a God. The second conversation is to help them see that the Torah itself is something that was authored by God and given to humanity so that we can achieve our own greatness in this world. That the purpose of the Torah itself, the word Torah comes from the word hora'ah, which means instruction manual, and it's there for us to achieve greatness. God wants us to be happy. He wants us to be besimcha. He wants us to enjoy everything the world has to offer on every level. There's nothing He doesn't want you to have. He wants you to have it all, but He wants you to have boundaries. He wants you to remind you that just because you're an adult, it doesn't mean that you're not a kid inside, and that the kid inside of you is always looking for what is easy and what is pleasurable. We are not interested in working hard. We're not interested in pushing ourselves to become more. The Torah is the parent for the adult. To remind you, you can't do whatever you want, whenever you want. You can't say whatever you want with whomever you want. You are able to go ahead and achieve something much greater if you are recognized that the Torah itself creates the boundaries for you to exercise your greatness. That is what the Torah is about. So what does he say over here? This pasuk is famous. It says, Techilat chokhmah yirat Hashem. The beginning of wisdom is fear of God. You don't get to wisdom if you don't have fear of God. Why? You could be a very smart guy who's an atheist. But wisdom is not just knowing a lot about science. You know the differences between science and religion? Science asks questions like this. Science wants to know how things happen. How does an atom interact with a molecule? How does an electron interact with the atom? What is an enzyme and how does that work in our stomach? We want to understand how things happen. Explain to me the process of ATP. How does a body make energy? Explain to me how the eyes are able to take sunlight or light and transfer that into images. That's what science does for me. It tells me how things happen. But it doesn't tell me why things happen. Why does it work that way? Why is there time? Why is there light? Why is there energy? Why does ATP work like that? It doesn't say that. It just tells me how things happen. Torah, Judaism, religion is all about why. Why do things happen? Why do these things happen the way they do? That's what the Torah is about. You can have a lot of knowledge about what's happening in the world. That doesn't make you into a better person. Ultimately, the Torah is about doing one thing and one thing alone. It's about getting you to ask the questions about what can I do to become great. I'll end with this, we often think that we are good because we're not doing bad. And this is a mistake. To be good means to be proactively working on becoming good. It means proactively working on being better than what you are. That is tov. Not doing bad is just you avoiding to do evil. That makes you ambivalent. That may make you even evil. It's like this. You see what's happening with anti-Semitism in the world? How many Christians, good Christians in Europe, didn't do anything when they saw the Nazis coming after the Jews? They thought they were good. They didn't do any bad. But in my opinion, they were evil. By watching evil happen, you are enabling it. You're a partner to it. And the same is true for ourselves. It's a hard concept to hear. I don't think you're bad. No one here is bad, but you can be better. Don't allow procrastination. Don't allow the easy comfort of our reality to hold us back from being more. Everyone knows what they can be doing, what they should be doing. So he says over here that the inspiration that we have for that is this understanding. If you understand that the beginning of wisdom is the fear of God, and that the knowledge of the Holy Ones is understanding, you will be super motivated to use every minute of your time. We're not here forever. We're here for a short period of time. 120 years, it's all we get. And you know what? And as we get older, it becomes more and more difficult to make changes. How do you live a life of change? You live a life of change by taking seize of the moment that you have right now. Carpe diem. Use this moment in time right now to achieve your greatness, and you'll see yourself living a life without any regrets. Wishing you all an amazing day. Thank you for listening. I apologize for the glasses and for the car ride. I am looking forward to being back at the office or at the Beit Knesset and teaching you in a more respectable background. So mechila, and again, thank you for joining. If you have any questions, I'll take your questions right now. Oh, I have some questions in here. Tell that to all the... Okay, fine. This is not a question. This is David. My pleasure. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to continuing the conversation, everybody. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your vacation.